Hey everybody, this is Clint at Manscall 101, and so this is part 2 about my Stevens 20 gauge, right, that belongs to these parts. I accidentally cut the other video off at 4.5 minutes, so hopefully you saw that, picking up where we left off. And what I discovered is that the trigger guard is loose on one side, so I've got this down to the action. I think you can see that, just a barreled action. Get that. Now you can't see my uggly face. There we go. Anyway, so I'm going to take this off, this trigger guard. And maybe there's nothing that holds the front of that trigger guard on. I'm not sure. Let's find out. I'm going to screw right there. And, all right, so that comes out. I think that there is, I'm going to need a headlamp. I'll get right back with you. All right, so I got a headlamp so I can see what's going on better here. I have to keep the light out up there because it's a glare. I don't know if it's worse than this headlamp or not. So that is threaded. That goes up in the front of that trigger guard. And that would indicate that the screw comes from inside the action outboard to hold the front of the trigger guard in there. And I don't know what the heck. Let's see here. Where's that little hammer at? No, really the little hammer, not the giant hammer. I'm going to turn this nuisance off. It still won't. Give it the nylon end, just give it a whack. Like I said, I don't see, everything seems to work. Except for, oh, it just opened up. All right, well that's cool. So there's just the barrel now. Get that out of the way. Well, I think I see the screw. Maybe I need the headlamp again. Maybe that there is a like a dog in there that, or a foot, I don't know what to call it. But, oh, I think I see the screw. Let's get something. I see it. Turn around and come out. Yep, there it is. All right, well that's interesting. Close this thing off again. This is what I found in there. That little tiny dude right there. Pretty short. Kind of marred up. It was probably rattling around in there for a while. So that would come from inside the action out to the front of the trigger guard, which is here. Let's see if I can get that to thread. It feels a little boogered up, huh? There we go. There we go. We got some threads going there. So, interesting. Oh, that seems totally free now. Both directions. I like that. I like that. So let's put the barrel back on just to give it a little bit of a test run here. Locks in good. Try the unlock. Yep, there it goes. Well, that's awesome that I found the problem. And I found the screw. Hadn't fallen out. There was nowhere for it to go, but that was no doubt what was holding that action up from breaking loose. I'll show you the, can you see that movement there? Right up here. That runs off of that lever and then pulls the locking lug up. See the silver locking lug there? See how it moves when I do that? I don't know if I'm able to hold it still enough for you, but... And then that lets the barrel open from the action. So, that's awesome. That's the good news. I found out what's wrong with it. The bad news is, it looks like I have to take this thing completely apart, everything, to put that screw back in the front of the trigger guard. Now, is it worth the trouble? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'll let you know what I decide. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this and punch out these two pins right here. Once you take out the trigger spring and the hammer, and then there's a pin down here which will take out the trigger. So, wish me luck. All right, so the trigger was easy to pull out. There's the pin, a little flat spot on the end, and then there's a little tiny spring that goes in there also. There we are, there's that. Trigger, pin that I drove out. And so now I am up to the hammer spring. I would say is probably about the next move. I'm wondering if I should try to unload these springs before I pull the pin, or pull the pin and let that unload the spring. So, that appears to be out. Out-ish. See if I can unload that. There we go. It's got some tension on it. Even with things loose. There's the hammer now. Goes back in like so. Yes. Let's get this out of here. Hammer spring. Goes with the long side to the top, I believe is how that came out of there. It's got a little tip on it. These guys, that's going to be interesting to get out of there. I need to pull this screw right there out, and so I can get this action lever out of there. It's got a couple of pre-tension springs on that. So let me see how we proceed with that. I'll get back. All right, now what kind of a tool am I going to be able to get in there for that flat head right there? Maybe something with a elbow on it that'll fit that. I may have to make a tool to make that happen. Something with an elbow on it, like an L shape, that I can set in that slot and turn maybe from this way, counterclockwise. Because I can't seem to get to it with a screwdriver from the top. It's not accessible. Oh, look at that. I got just the right screwdriver, and it wasn't that tight, so I could get it at an angle. Well, that was cool. That tool got me in there. So unscrew that. Oh, that's very similar to, if not the same screw, as the one that holds on the front part of the trigger guard. Looks almost like, it looks identical actually. Let's set them side by side. Yeah, I would say that's identical. So, interesting. Very good. Now. Gotta unload these springs somehow. Backwards pressure on it, and then grab it with a hook of some type and pull it up. Alright, so I was able to get that out. Let's get a little tip on it right there. It sits in a divot underneath the lever up inside there. I don't know if you can see that. That's a tough one to get. Somewhere in the neighborhood. Right there, I'm actually in that divot right now with that punch, so it gives you an idea. So we'll set that aside. And now, let's get this. Boy, that's some serious spring tension. So we're after this one right here. Looks to me come off the back side. Or not. Alrighty, I believe I've gained access to that spot. And so the point will be, how do I get that screw to drop through that little hole, which is kind of accessible. Let's try right here. I got fat fingers. I don't know about you. Yeah, how am I going to get in there? Drop it down like that, and then try to manipulate it with this here screwdriver. Sounds easy. At least it came out. I'm going to try something. You never know, this might work. I made these, so this is 30-30 brass with a magnet in the end, and it sticks to metal objects like that. I wonder if I can use that. If I can find a way to stab it in there. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to keep working with it. I have several of those magnets in different sizes, so I might try another one. Alright, I got it to drop in there. So, question is, can I keep it in there? Try not to use that headlamp, because I know that probably messes with you guys' view. Let's try a little more substantial screwdriver. Maybe I get a little better bite on that screw and hold it right there and get this thing started. Perhaps. This might take a minute. Alright, so I thought maybe I could cheat a little bit and not take this fully apart, but you wouldn't think it'd be this difficult. But getting this bolt, screw, whatever you want to call it, through the hole from the inside out, and then getting it to start threading in the trigger guard is no easy task. It's doable because I just did it. I feel like the threads are boogered a little bit perhaps, but it goes. It's, it feels like it's threading in. It's not stripped. No, it feels pretty good. So I guess I'll just stay after it. Eventually I'll get it. Alright, so I'm back to putting the trigger guard back on, locking it in place with the back screw. Maybe I won't tighten it all the way down, so there's a little wiggle to it. Having some difficulty getting that one in there and started into the front of the trigger guard. So I thought maybe having this one at least partially screwed on, just lightly snugged, will help. So we'll give that a go for a couple minutes.